What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Rican Brothers Raidernation podcast. I'm your host, Nazo. I'm going to be doing the solo dolo here early this morning on game day. Yesterday, I did do the recording and everything, and when I was getting down to editing, the audio was non-existent about, a quarter of the way in. So I wanted to make sure to get this out to you today, and it's going to be quick. It's probably going to be about 20 minutes, not the usual, 45 to an hour-minute show or to an hour show, but I'll get through everything that I went through on the original recording just because I don't want to leave out anything. So give me just a second here. Good morning to everyone. Today is game day versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going up against the Raiders, where the Raiders travel at Arrowhead Stadium, and the Raiders go in at 6-6, and the Chiefs standing at 8-4 at the top of the division. It looks like in this one, the spread is in favor of the Chiefs with a 9.5 point advantage over the Raiders, and the over-under is sitting at 47.5 points, and the Chiefs are favored to win this game. Now, it might not be favorable. We know that the Raiders have been struggling, but in this one, my prediction is for the Chiefs to beat the Raiders 34-21 to cover the spread and the total points. And it's just purely based on the performance of Derek Carr. It's based on the performance of this offense, and just, with the upward trending play of the Kansas City Chiefs defense. They're doing great, and it's kind of ridiculous on how good they are right now. As far as notable injuries are concerned, Darren Waller will be out for this game. Carl Nassib is going to be out for this game. So two major pieces there, one on offense, one on defense. And then the biggest one on defense that we'll see is Denzel Perryman is doubtful. Most likely he's going to be out for the game. On the Chiefs side of the ball, right tackle Lucas Niang, he is questionable. There's three cornerbacks that are either going to be questionable or out. L'Jarius Sneed is questionable. Rashad Fenton is questionable. And then Chris Lamons is going to be out with the ankle injury. So the Chiefs definitely have their things that they have to overcome in this one as well on the defensive side of the ball. But their offense is going to be running on full cylinders. And, anytime the Chiefs offense is fully healthy, it's not good for the Raiders when they don't have some of their weapons here. And with that being said, in regards to the spread, both teams are 5-7 against the spread this season. So if that's a positive thing that you could take away from that, the underdogs pretty much are better to come out with a win than the ones who are favored. So that's something to kind of keep positive about, just because the Raiders are underdogs in this one of 9.5 points. A little history here on the Raiders. The Raiders are actually 1-6 against the Chiefs the last 7 times that they played. And one of those games, I guess you can't really, include that just because Chad Henne and Patrick Mahomes did play quarterback in one of those games, because Mahomes got injured, if I'm not mistaken, and Henne had to come in and take over. I believe that was the game that he may have had a concussion or concussion-like symptoms. So with that being said, the Raiders have beaten the Chiefs only 3 times. Yep, that's right, 3 times since 2014 in the Derek Carr era. 2 times he beat Alex Smith, and only once has beaten Patrick Mahomes. That is not a fun stat to read out loud or to just come to fruition with, because Patrick Mahomes has been the better quarterback every time they duel, and this one we really need. This is the game that will really determine if we are still in the playoff race and how this division will kind of sort itself out, just because right now you have the Chiefs at 1, Chargers at 2, and then us and the Broncos are sitting in that tied 3rd spot. But we have the tiebreaker with the Broncos, so we would technically be the 3rd team. The biggest thing here is the Raiders have lost 4 of the last 5 games. Now, during that time frame, they've spanned over an average of 18.8 points per game on offense, and we've had 29.2 points scored against us in that time frame. So we have been the far less superior team, and Derek Carr stats have not been good. And this is the time that he really needs to shine and come through with his leadership and his poise and consistency that we've still been waiting for 8 years in here, especially in the second half of the season. He's thrown 4 interceptions and only thrown 5 touchdowns in these last 5 games. And the offense is averaging only 12 first downs in each of those games. And for this one, we're going to need everything to be in favor of us as far as touchdown throws. We need as many first downs as possible. And then we really can't turn over the ball because right now, the Chiefs defense actually ranks 8th. So even though they did start off kind of slow on that side of the ball and they did get beat early on, the Raiders defense ranks 24th overall, and we are the worst team defensively in the red zone, which now our defense is not like a bottom 5. I think we rank, let's see here. We rank, I think we rank right around like 21st or 20th as far as the defense is concerned. As far as points against them, we rank 24th. So it's kind of a little bit less in the middle of the pack, but definitely serviceable, especially some of those games that kind of got out of hand was due to the offense giving up the ball, whether it be interceptions or fumbles or pick sixes. And it's just something that the offense and defense need to complement each other. And the defense has stood strong in games where we did need them to, and the offense just couldn't deliver. And that's, the continued struggles of Derek Carr, especially, like I said, in the second half of the season. Now, the Chiefs have, the 3rd best offense in the league. So the defense is going to have to put up, and they're going to have to come in. I'll get to the defensive side and those young players who are going to be, in there and taking the place of some of our veterans who are not going to be playing. And the Raiders offense is ranked 8th. So, you're going, the 3rd best offense versus the 8th ranked offense. So with anything in consideration here, it should be a more offensive game than defensive, but with the Chiefs defense trending upward, like I said, they're 8th with points scored against them. But when it comes to yards, it's a different story. The Chiefs are giving up almost 370 yards per game on defense, where we're giving up 355. So it's not far off, but the points is really what matters. The points is what's going to win you games. So with that offense that I mentioned with the Chiefs, they're averaging about 25.3 points per game, and we're averaging as a Raiders offense 22.8 points per game. So kind of a telling story on what really needs to be the main focal point here. The biggest thing here is with the defense. We do have a much better statistic, I guess, in comparison to the offense, because we've only given the ball away 12 times this year, right, on offense. So that's a plus. But we've also only taken the ball away 13 times. So we're at that +1 margin, right? You really want to be higher up than that, especially this late in the year. The Kansas City, on the other hand, you're looking at, they have 23 giveaways, and a lot of those came early on in the beginning of the season, in those first 6-7 games. But they have 18 takeaways, so they definitely have 5 more takeaways than us, but they've also give up, more the ball more times, but they have a -5 differential, and you never want to be on that side. But like I said, I'd say probably these last 5 to 6 weeks, they've really come on, which these are the times you want to come into your own as far as, your defense playing hot, your offense picking things up. And it's a little scary because the first time the Chiefs did beat us, and a lot of that was due to turnovers and poor play calling, and just Derek Carr getting shook. And it was kind of funny because I posted something in the Raiders Roundtable group about the defensive secondary players of the Chiefs, just talking about how Derek Carr's back there scared. Again, we had another incident with Joey Bosa saying that, and I don't personally like Joey Bosa, so I, came to the defense of Derek Carr. But I mean, the facts are facts, man, and history tends to repeat itself, which is sad in this case because we've seen the things that Derek Carr has the capabilities of doing, and the moments that he gets into, and how he comes out of those moments. So, with that being said, as far as the Raiders' offense is concerned, we really need Derek Carr to show up. That's pretty much what it comes down to. The inconsistent check down Derek Carr, we can't have that. All this talk about not having weapons, I think there are a lot of quarterbacks in the league with the weapons that are available that they would make a better showing than Derek Carr has. And you're never going to have, number one wide receiver, number one tight end, number one running back, number one fullback, everything kind of needs to be perfect for Derek Carr as far as the people who, back him, as far as him being elite, which I used to think he was kind of top 10 quarterback, but as far as right now, he's definitely not. He showed me, as far as just looking back at his statistics and the history and just the facts that align, he's not. He's a very much mediocre average quarterback. So we're going to need the great performance from Derek Carr in order to just win this game, keep hope alive for the playoffs, and utilize his weapons. He has Deshaun Jackson to take the vertical threat, to this Chiefs defense, because we need to start fast and we need to go get down the field early and often, and as well as utilizing Hunter Renfrow on those third down situations. And just to get first downs, because Hunter Renfrow does have a nose for finding the first downs, and you need to target Foster Moreau more. Josh Dubois had brought up a great point where, he's averaging one catch a game, but I mean, his targets do need to go up, and Derek Carr can't be thrown to him in triple coverage. Like, he's not going to do that. He needs to find him in stride. Even if it's like short over the middle crossing patterns, make sure to get him to move the chains and put him in favorable positions, because I don't know, Derek Carr's aggressiveness and lack of patience is really what is the biggest fall to his consistency, because he's very inconsistent, because as soon as he's hiking the ball, he has his eyes locked in on who he's going to go to. He doesn't allow plays to develop, and that really does hurt the offense. It kind of stalls them out, and you never really get to find a rhythm. So in this game, the key thing for Derek Carr to succeed is his aggressiveness and patience with keeping his eyes downfield and being able to scan the field a little bit better than he has been, because recently he hasn't done a great job. Now in Dallas, he did do a great job of that. But again, 1 out of 5 games, you got to come better than that. Like, you got to bring a better performance out. And, since we lost Alec Ingold on offense, the fullback position and the blocking from the fullback hasn't been really present. But I really want to see Sutton Smith get more involved in this, because not only can he catch out of the backfield, but he can also run the ball too. I mean, probably the pass catching game is where you can utilize him a little bit more, because this is a defensive player, in college, who transitioned over into the offensive side, and he can kind of be that fullback, almost line up like a tight end sometimes. And you could use him and Foster Moreau, as well as Hunter Renfrow and Deshaun Jackson. And Zay Jones is open, just from me kind of looking over like film and just checking out some all 22 stuff. I mean, I'd say Zay Jones kind of gets open like around 65% of the time. So more often than not, and that's just an estimate. I need to go back and actually look at the numbers as far as like exact percentages. But I mean, he does get open more often than people think. And like, I know his name is not a big name, but you just have to watch him play and watch how he gets open on his routes. He's there. Derek Carr needs more patience, a little bit more aggressiveness, and he needs to be more assertive as far as when it comes to, having that field vision, because that's something that's really going to be favorable to him. As far as in this one, I want to see, Josh Jacobs be utilized not frequently, but opportunistically. So if we're in a favorable position of 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, we need to be running, or either, fake the run and, do a little bootleg out to him, or have a screen pass, something to keep the defense guessing, because I feel like our play calling is very predictable in certain down and distances and situational football. And that's something that the Raiders need to switch up, especially with Andy Reid. He's a great offensive mind coach, but he kind of gets your number once he knows your patterns and like your play calling that you tend to do with your tendencies. And, for this, I just think that we need to involve Josh Jacobs a little bit more in whatever he shows us, as far as if it's running, okay, he's going to run more. If it's in the passing game or screen game, we need to utilize him more in that. And I want to see the debut of Trey Regis in this one, because I know Peyton Barber, he may or may not play. I'm not sure if he's going to be the active back or Trey Regis, because I really want to see in this game, from my predictions, is Deshaun Jackson getting a touchdown and Foster Moreau getting a touchdown, and Josh Jacobs getting a touchdown as well. Now, surprise touchdown could be Trey Regis, but I would like to see Peyton Barber get a touchdown, because, and I'm predicting 3 total touchdowns for the Raiders. So I'm looking at Josh Jacobs, Deshaun Jackson, and Foster Moreau. I know Hunter Renfrow is going to get his targets and so on. Zay Jones will get his targets and his yardage. But as far as like the surprise, I would say Trey Regis with a very surprising touchdown. If not, that can go to Peyton Barber. So those 2 are interchangeable just because they're the backups. Excuse me. So with that being said, the offense is going to have to keep that defense. That's the number 8 defense now. I never thought I'd say that about the Chiefs defense, because they've always kind of struggled with that. And they were in the bottom 5, I think, for a good amount of the season until, like I said, these past 5-6 weeks, they really elevated their play. And Derek Carr is going to have to bring it. Show me that you're not just a mediocre quarterback who's on his way out of Las Vegas, because right now everything's pointing to that. Raidernation is kind of sick of the inconsistent play and sick of just falling short year after year after year. And at this point, it's time to put up or shut up. So moving over to the defensive side, just because, again, I appreciate you guys tuning into the Rican Brothers Raidernation podcast. I kind of want to keep this shorter just so I can get this up as soon as possible. On the defensive side, we do have some players that are hopefully going to be playing, which Darius Philon and Trayvon Mullen were activated from the inactive injured reserve list. So those 2 specifically can help bolster this defense, because Philon always, finds a way to get to the quarterback from that defensive tackle position. And Trayvon Mullen is our, first cornerback. I know everyone counts on Casey Hayward. He's an amazing cornerback ever since he came over to the Raiders, and his statistics prove much. But Faison and Abram have been getting killed by this Chiefs offense. And if there's one thing that we need the defense to do, it's absolutely chip and manhandle and put your hands on and be aggressive at the line of scrimmage with Travis Kelce. He cannot get free releases. He will make us pay. He has his best games against the Raiders. And if you haven't learned by now, then you really need to evaluate yourself if you're a defensive coach, whether it be a linebacking coach, a secondary coach, the defensive coordinator, because this is literally the Raider killer right here is Travis Kelce. No free releases. We need to get our hands on him. Abram needs to show up and have better games. And as far as what I can see, because Divine Diablo is going to be playing in there, with KJ Wright and Corey Littleton in this one. That's going to be our linebacking core. Divine Diablo was a strong safety originally. I think that he can hang with Travis Kelce. He's going to need some of those, chips to happen at the line of scrimmage from his defensive linemen. And, I'm looking for that to be kind of a key thing to happen just to slow down his productivity. So this way Mahomes isn't able to get out the ball as quick as he did in the first matchup, because they did kill us as far as not being able to get to the quarterback. And that kind of brings me to the defensive line play of Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue. I think both of them will have a sack in this game. And I think we're looking at 3 tackles for loss, 2 of them coming from the defensive line. I'm not really sure who's going to do it, but 3 tackles for loss, coming 2 from the defensive line, 1 from a linebacker. And I think we'll have a couple pass breakups from the linebacking core, as well as, in the secondary. My prediction is Trayvon Merrick getting an interception just because he was so close last game. He really does have a good knack for finding the football, and he's still coming into his own. It's his rookie year, so don't forget that. But he's been playing excellent. Between him and Nate Hobbs, the secondary does have a bright future with both of those two, Trayvon Mullen, and hopefully bring back Casey Hayward the following year, because that secondary, especially coached up by Ron Miles, they've been doing well. It's just been the execution of the poor play from the secondary players who have come in, which Brandon Faison, last time against the Chiefs, he got smoked, as well as Jonathan Abram. So I'm looking for Jonathan Abram to kind of be more in the box and not get into those deeper pass coverage situations, just because we know that's not his strength. And Nate Hobbs, I feel like, will have a great game, because last time he didn't have the best game against KC. So I'm looking for him to step up in this one, just to make up for that, last game that he did have against the Kansas City Chiefs. But again, you still have Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman to account for. So I'm hoping that, Mecole Hardman is kept under wraps and Tyreek Hill is locked down. That will really help us on the defensive side. And again, my prediction is the Chiefs winning 34-21. But, if these things can happen, the Raiders can win. We've won more times as being the underdog than the favorite. So it's just one of those things where we're better. It's weird that we're better on the road than at home, because usually, you think with home field advantage, hey, you get the home field involved and everyone's on our side, but that's not the case with Las Vegas, because it's more of like a tourist attraction. I mean, you have all the big city markets that travel in. There's more to just go to than just a football game. There's Vegas, the Strip, other attractions. And that's something that the Raiders will have to do to reestablish their fan base, to where we build up more of a fan base and we can have a better home standing. Because on the road, the folks do travel who are Raider fans, and there's nothing like being a Raider fan, and they need to show up in this game. So let me just go over my keys to victory. So the first thing is Derek Carr being aggressive as well as patient and allowing plays to develop. That's going to be your number one, because this offense is not going to go anywhere if he's dinking and dunking, locking in on his players early on and just not having patience and letting plays develop, and really scanning the field. Secondly, you have to chip Travis Kelce off the line, and you have to slow down that tight end play on offense for the Chiefs offense, because that is what single-handedly allows them to continue drives, convert on third down, and just pretty much, keep the defense on the field, which we don't need. And thirdly is getting pressure to Patrick Mahomes and causing turnovers, because causing turnovers will come from the pressure that we get on Patrick Mahomes. And hopefully with Trayvon Mullen being back, he kind of has Patrick Mahomes' number when it comes to turnovers and just being able to get past deflection. So I feel like he's kind of our best defensive player that's faced Patrick Mahomes, as far as coming up with the ball and just, causing some momentum positive from the defense over to the offense. And I'd say just for a fourth thing here is not allowing great field position for the Chiefs winning special teams. So not allowing them to return it deep into our territory or into their own territory to set up for a shorter field, because that is going to make a big impact on this game. So again, sorry guys that it was so short for the pregame here. Again, I had everything kind of done, but the audio was really messed up. So thanks again so much for tuning into the Rican Brothers Raidernation podcast. I really hope that the Raiders come out victorious. But again, my prediction was 34-21, the Chiefs coming out ahead. And, from that, let's try to keep the playoff hopes alive. And go Raiders. And I hope you have a good Sunday.